When after World War II, and blacks came back to segregation after being over in Europe and other places fighting for freedom of speech and so forth, so on, that, the civil rights movement started. They're over there fighting for freedom and civil rights, and then they come back here and have to accept segregation. And I remember an experience my husband gave when he was in the service. Was it a prison camp, Gwendolyn, or do you remember?
He was in France.
But I know he was stationed in northern France, but I'm not sure exactly where this, I think it was a prison camp or something.
He went to another base.
And he did, I think there were prisoners of war, and he mentioned that when it was time for the meal, that the prisoners of war were called in to have their meal before the black soldiers were called in. And that's been very vivid. You're over there fighting for your country, and you feed German soldiers before you feed the black Americans for this country. And I often think about that situation.
So what advice or wisdom or tidbits would you share with those who may be still struggling racism or sexism, of all those isms that may beat someone down, but listening at you and so many others went through all of that, but seem to have risen above. So what was your secret?
Well, one of the things I would say to these young people coming along now is that you need to know how it got to this point and what people went through to get you to this point, and not just accept it as a part of your daily life, because so many students don't have any idea what people went through before their time, but realize what they did to get you where you are. Did not just come freely.
So I'm going back to 102. Long time.
Mm-hmm.
Long time. So you have seen a lot, heard a lot. So what would you think would be one of the most valuable lessons you have heard or seen that still stays with you today?
I'd have to think on that a little while. As I said just before, that you need to learn and be aware of what people went through before your time, and that you need to act accordingly, then just come.
Because you have seen, Lord knows, so much.
And I've forgotten half of what I've seen. That's the problem. I've forgotten half of what. Have you heard me mention any stories, Gwendolyn?
No. Well, you didn't mention how you responded when someone called you by your first name.
I was out teaching at that time.
And you didn't mention your gap experience between college and coming to teach when you were in New Jersey.
So when you was teaching, you were called by your first name?
I was grown. Yeah, I was grown. I can't remember if I'm almost finished. I'm almost certain I was grown if I was paying a bill. That's what I was doing, paying a bill. And of course, they still would do that. And of course, once integration came about, of course, there were still little subtleties you would notice that some people on the other side were not quite ready for integration.
I used to hear people talk about even the physical buildings of black schools versus white schools, the textbooks versus not having textbooks, and all of those differences. In your childhood and school experience, did you witness or bear witness to that, or as a child, did you even know
Well, as a child,
that was a difference?
No, I wouldn't know, but it was commonly known that we got the books that were, discarded from the white schools. We did not. As a child, well, as a young child, I was not here anyway. But even as an adult, as a high school student, you recognize there were books or secondhand